All right, welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today we're looking at some pretty out there
Yeah.
ideas about life
Mm.
and death and where we go after all this is over. And
Right.
we're going to be taking a look at some excerpts from a book by a guy named Gary Matthews.
Okay.
Have you heard of him?
I have. Yeah. He's got some really interesting ideas about the spiritual realm.
Yeah, definitely kind of out there,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
that's what we do here on
Yeah.
these deep dives. So
That's why they call it the deep dive.
that's why they call it the deep dive. Exactly. So Matthews, he starts with this idea that, we
Mm.
we come from a spiritual realm,
Okay.
and that before we were born, we were actually existing as spirits
Yeah.
in this realm, moving at an incredible speed.
Okay. So he's talking about the idea that we existed as pure energy or light before entering the physical world.
Yeah, 186,000 miles per second.
Oh.
The speed of light.
Speed of light.
He actually uses the speed of light as an analogy to kind of explain how we transition from the spiritual to the physical.
I see. So our spiritual energy, moving at the speed of light, had to slow down to enter the physical realm.
That's what he's saying.
Interesting.
And kind of like, imagine like pure energy or light
Yep.
slowing down and kind of coalescing to form
Hmm.
matter.
Yeah, like condensing almost.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's a mind-bending concept for sure.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think about things in a different way. But he doesn't stop there.
Okay.
He goes on to say that, like, a part of that original divine energy, it actually stays with us.
It remains within us.
Yeah, he calls it the breath of God,
Oh, wow.
which I thought was really interesting.
So he's literally saying that God's breath is within each person.
Yeah, and he ties it to this,
Hmm.
biblical passage
Yeah.
where Jesus breathes on his disciples.
Right, giving them the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, that one always kind of like
Yeah.
gave me chills, but I never thought about it in this context before.
I see. So Matthews connects this breath to the Holy Spirit, suggesting it's a direct link to the divine.
Yeah, and he contrasts it with what he calls like partial truths.
Partial truths.
Yeah, things we learn through tradition or
Hmm.
culture.
Okay, like inherited beliefs that might not represent the complete picture.
Right, he even uses this metaphor of a spiritual basket.
A spiritual basket.
Yeah, kind of funny, but he says you got to empty out all that old stuff, those partial truths to make room
Make room for the full truth.
for the full truth.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. So how does all this tie into how he views death?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Most people see death as something to be feared, but Matthews sees it as a positive event.
Yeah, like a homecoming.
Exactly. He suggests that when we die, our last breath is actually our spirit accelerating back to that original speed, returning to God.
So not an ending, but a beginning.
Not an ending, but a transition back to our spiritual origin.
Right, like a return to that source of pure energy.
And a return to the speed of light.
Yeah, so does that mean we have to just like throw out everything we believe?
He doesn't necessarily say that. I think it's more about being open to new perspectives and questioning the limitations of our current understanding.
So like questioning those partial truths in our basket.
Exactly.
Right.
Are they serving us? Are they aligned with this bigger picture?
That makes a lot of sense. But if death is this like homecoming, this return to the speed of light, does that mean time works differently over there?
That's a great question. If we're talking about existing at the speed of light, our current understanding of time might be completely irrelevant.
So past, present, future, it could all be
Yep.
blended together.
It might all exist simultaneously in that realm.
Wow.
It really challenges our perception of reality.
It really does. Okay, so we've covered a lot. Spiritual origins, speed of light, God's breath, death as a homecoming. What's the biggest takeaway here?
I think Matthews is challenging us to expand our understanding of life and death and our connection to the divine. He's asking us to consider the possibility that we carry a spark of God within us.
And if that's true, how does that change how we live, how we see the world,
How we treat each other.
how we treat each other?
It's a powerful invitation to rethink our whole existence.
Yeah, definitely a lot to think about. Well, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Hope you enjoyed it,
It's been a pleasure.
and we'll see you next time. For another deep dive,